Welcome to the Howl, where we get to go in depth with students and faculty, hear their stories, and get a front row seat to learn about our community. I'm your host, Jacob Gerton, the Associate Director of Admissions here, and today we sit with Director of Elementary, Maria Carpenter, to understand the history, philosophy, and curriculum in the magical setting that is the elementary school. By the end of it, you will feel Ms. Carpenter's warmth just like our kids do. Without further ado, let's howl! All right, good morning, Ms. Carpenter. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jacob. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. We have a little bit of snow that I can see in the background from last week, but we're here nice and early Monday morning, our second podcast in a row on site. So I'm super excited to be here with you, Ms. Carpenter, and learn about the elementary school because every time I'm down here, I learn something new.
Great. I'm so glad. You're welcome to come anytime.
Yeah. So really, to get down here to the elementary school doesn't do it enough justice just for this picture. You have to come into the space. You have to come here for a tour. So after you listen to this podcast, the next thing that everyone's going to do is run to the phone and call the admissions office to come see and speak with you because we're missing the best part during this conversation is the kids. There's no kids here, and those are the best part.
The children are at chorus right now, and you're right. The environment is so important to what we do here. It's probably, besides the faculty, who are my number one most important thing, the environment that we've created is really essential to our philosophy.
Yeah. So let's first talk about you a little bit, Ms. Carpenter, because the elementary school doesn't happen without Ms. Carpenter. So tell us a little bit about your background and maybe how the elementary school kind of started.
So I was really lucky that I'm one of those people that always knew I wanted to work with children. Like I have vivid memories of watching my little cousin Tonya when I was 12 and she was 2. And I would choose to watch babies instead of playing with the neighborhood kids. And I always felt really comfortable. I loved being around children. I felt whole when I was with children. So I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. And an interesting story is I can remember being in high school, and I went to a Clark University college fair with my best friend who was looking at Wheaton College and Wellesley College. And I was trying to be invisible next to her so no one would talk to me.
Oh, Rosie wants a piece of the conversation.
Rosie. And there was a lovely lady at a table for Wheelock College. And I was trying to ignore her, and she kept on engaging me in conversation. And she said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "No, that's okay. I want to work with children." And she said, "Wheelock College is a school for children." And she kept on engaging me. And Wheelock was one of the best schools in the United States, rivaling Leslie, but I actually loved Wheelock. And I went to Wheelock. That woman, I'll never forget her. Her name was Vanessa Elaine. She hired me as a work-study student in the admissions office. So I have a little admissions experience. And I went and did my undergraduate and went back for 6 years while I started the elementary program to get my master's degree at Wheelock College because I loved it so much.
Wow, that is so cool. And one of the interesting parts of the elementary school program is that it didn't really start with all this amazing space that we have around us, right? It was a little bit piecemeal. So tell us, how are the very beginnings of when Rectory started its elementary school program?
So the elementary started because the new dining hall was built, and what is now our Wolf Den was an empty space. That's where the original dining hall was. And at the time, Tom Army was our head of school, and he asked, the board had asked him to design a budget for what it would cost for a full day kindergarten program, because at the time, this area of Connecticut didn't have full day kindergarten. They had half day kindergarten options. And so it was the dining hall space. Like by the time I designed it and put all these special environmental cozy things in it, they approved it. And then I asked if I could teach in the first kindergarten program. At the time, I came to Rectory to be the director of the care program. So I came to Rectory in 1997, and I started as the head preschool teacher. My son, Nicholas, who's now in his 30s, was 3, and I told them that I would be happy to work here at Rectory, but I wanted to only work part-time because it was important for me to take Nicholas home and have him nap at home in his crib. And so Tom said, okay, we will do that. So I worked in the morning, and then I put Nicholas in the car and we went home.
Nice.
And when he started full-day kindergarten, then I came to Rectory full day. So
That's great.
that was a really fun way to start and ease into it. And I loved working with the babies as well in the care program.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. Such a great, interesting history. And now we're in this space, which was built 2017 was finished, 2016?
This one, I believe, was 2014.
2014,
We'll have to
okay, a little off, but yeah, I
check
think,
that a little bit. But we were in that space with 5 kindergarten students. And then those 5 children at the end of the year wanted to stay. And we had a dining hall space. So I said, well, if we can get a few more students, I can do kindergarten and first grade and just hire someone. So I went and found someone in Woodstock that I absolutely admired and convinced her to leave her position and come work with me to start the elementary school. And so at the time, it was only that one classroom.
Yeah.
There was no long-term plan of having an elementary school. And so it was a K-1. We had 16 children. And then at the end of the year, the children's parents wanted them to stay. And so we took the wrestling room space at the time, which was under Hamilton, because there was plumbing and there was a bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And so we then had the K-1 space in the dining hall, and we put second grade down below. And then they wanted to stay. And every year they said, no, we don't have any more space. But the children kept on coming. And so we used the large study hall space, which I think is like 204, 205. I'm not sure
down by
the
math
numbers.
classrooms, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we took that space, and we then had third and fourth grade as well. And that was the first time we started thinking, well, maybe we can do K through 9 instead of 5 through 9 and have this one-off full-day kindergarten space. So that's how we just kind of creeped into other people's spaces, which wasn't convenient for Rectory because they weren't expecting us to take more spaces. And so when the vision was to have children connect with their learning and also connect with each other. And so this is like a dream come true, having the K-1 class right next to this 2-3 classroom, and then the fourth grade classroom right on the other side of the hallway, because children are, we wanted to build a community for them so that they weren't isolated, but they could connect, and we want them to know each other well enough so they could say, hey, I found a book about lions, and I know someone in the K-1 class that loves lions. Can I go bring it to them? And that kind of authentic learning was the vision. And so we love having these beautiful spaces.
Well, it is really cool. When you come down here, you can really see how that vision has, really well established itself now with this elementary school space. So can you talk about today, why are families coming to the elementary school program, and what really sets it apart, or what parts of like those early foundations are really thrown into what we're doing now?
Sure. So it's really important that every decision we make here at Rectory, and especially in the elementary school, is centered around the children. So we think about our mission, and we think about what's best for children. And so first, we need really wonderful faculty who know child development, have experience, and are educated in teaching. And so it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but the people that I work with every day are some of the most warm, authentic, experienced people that are around. Yeah. And I love working with them. It's wonderful when you walk into the building every day and you're happy to be here. So if I'm happy to be here, hopefully the children are happy to be here. And so we want each child to know that they're important, that we see them every day. If they're not here, we recognize that they're not here. And we need them to be their best so that we can all be better together. Yeah. And they teach me new things all the time. Yeah. I make tons of mistakes, but we share them because that's part of life. Yeah. So I never was interested in working behind a teacher desk or lecturing to children. That's never what my vision of working with children looked like. Yeah. So being authentic and not just being a school, like we're preparing them for life here at Rectory. We want them to be really good people, and we want them to understand that we all have things that we struggle with. I have things that I struggle with, and I talk to them about it. Yeah. So some of them are really good at reading. Some of them struggle at reading. But they all have pieces that no one else in the classroom has, and we all share all of our gifts together. Yeah. So that's really important.
That is really cool. And one of the unique things that always comes up with families about the program as I'm talking about it is like the shared classrooms. Mm-hmm. So was that a product of the beginning and how you kind of started with 2 classrooms and you're like, hey, this kind of works. Yeah. Like, and why did you stick with it, or why is that really special?
Well, we actually in this classroom have the opportunity of putting the divider up. So we could separate the space if we wanted to, but it really is part of this philosophy of life and learning, because the little ones can see what learning looks like when they're older, and the older ones can be really good role models for the younger children. So that social emotional part of learning to us is equally important as their academic learning. Yeah. And when children feel valued and feel welcome and feel that they're needed, then they give their best and they're trusting in their academics. Yeah. So it really works together. And so that's what we love, that the multi-age classrooms is kind of a space. Not all of the second graders, some of them are strong enough to do some of the third grade work. Yeah. So we can teach to each child. Assessment isn't a bad word here. We do it for the children, and it's my job to know where each one of them is and to make sure that their learning is just right for them. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter to me if they're in second grade or third grade or kindergarten or fourth grade. They're here to do their best, and we feel that the environments with a range of learners in each space help them to grow and see what learning really looks like. Yeah.
One of my favorite things that I get to talk about with families is shared conferences. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it sheds a lot of light on, from beginning to end, like what they do in their time here. And as a fourth grader, like, they're in charge, right? They're the ones who are in charge.
It's so much fun to see the fourth graders and the little kindergartners just starting out. So giving children a voice is essential to what we're doing. And the shared conferences were teacher conferences without the children being present for a teacher conference. So we decided that it was really important for the children to own their own learning. They reflect on their learning. They have portfolios, which are right behind me, where they build their work to show their growth. And so if we're talking as adults about children and they're not here, we thought, why can't they come to the conference and learn about themselves? And so they sort of lead the conference. They share what their strengths are, what goals they've set for themselves along with their parents and the teachers, and they share what's really hard and they need help with. Or they share what they're really proud of because they were struggling with something and they practiced and practiced and practiced and they got better at it. Yeah. So we thought it was really important for the children to be involved. And then the last few minutes of the conference, the children go off and then the adults can have important adult conversations that aren't appropriate to talk about when the children are present. Yeah. So we've balanced it so it's just right for the children.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that you want to shed light on that I didn't specifically ask about, or just in general about coming to the elementary school?
So I think that you touched on the environments. When we started the elementary school, like we have painted walls instead of white walls. That was intentional. We have photographs of the children all around the classroom. You see them behind me. Their portraits are on the windowsills in all of the classrooms. Yeah. So we wanted to make the environments an extension of home so that this was a comfortable place for learning. The other thing that all of the classrooms have here is lots of different spaces. We just made this table a little higher for our little visit today, but we have low tables because some children learn best when they're sitting on the floor and they wiggle a little bit. But if you have them sit in a chair, their bodies aren't learning and their brains aren't as focused. So we have lots of different spaces that you might not notice in the classrooms, but children can write on clipboards and lay on the floor, or they could sit at a table, or that we have a standing table in back of me where they can stand up and do their work. So all of those different spaces are important so that we make sure that the environment matches what each child needs. And it happens in K1, it happens in 2-3, and it happens in the 4th grade as well.
And then talk about like another thing that I love is like math isn't from 9:15 to 10:15.
Yes,
talk about
that's
how
right.
everything connects and how science and nature are such an integral part of the curriculum, because I think that's special.
So what we decided to do, and it's all based on this authentic idea of learning and life connections, is children are connected to nature and their environment. And Charlotte's moving around. She wants to
That's
join.
part of our
She
environment.
wants to join the
classroom
conversation. And so we decided to use science to connect everything else that we're doing. So each term, just like in the middle school, there's 3 different terms. We have a fall, winter, and spring term. So we don't do science on a theme for a week. We do it for the whole term. So the children become experts in what they're doing. And math might happen today from 9:15 to 10:15. But guess what? They might do math during science, or they might be connecting their math to a read aloud. Yeah. And so we want to provide those conversations so that children stop what they're doing and make connections. You'll hear them in the elementary say, I have a connection, because they've noticed that something that they've learned about in an isolated content area now connects to what they're doing. And that's what learning is all about. It all connects.
That's cool. And then if you want to just kind of, wrap up a little bit about what the elementary school means to you personally, I'd love to hear that, because we pulled you back into the classroom, right? You were the director of the program. You really built into this incredible thing. And there are so many families that are interested in the program. And I always say, even working here, I go down and listen to Miss Carpenter. I'm like, I'll pay whatever it takes for my kid to go here, right? I think this is so cool. So talk a little bit about what it means to you coming back into the classroom after one of our teachers left a few years ago. And
so I was only going to come in to help this multi-age group of kids. But what I realized, Jacob, is the pace of my day is so rewarding when I'm with the children, because they bring you into their lives. Yeah. And so to see the light in a child's eye when they learn something that they didn't think they can do, or to hear about what happened on the weekend or what is worrisome for them, and talking it through to them, or making a friendship happen that really wasn't a friendship at the beginning. Those little moments all woven together is such a beautiful way to spend your day. And don't get me wrong, I love going to the meetings and I like the administrative part of making decisions about the elementary, but there's nothing like being in the classroom with children and working with teachers who are here for the same reasons you're here. We don't stop when the children leave at 3:00. If something has to be done, we're all here late in the afternoon or early in the morning. And so when you find people that are like your village, your tribe, and we all have the same goals and we all want the best for children, it just is, I'm very blessed to be here. I learn every day. And Rectory has provided me the opportunities to do professional development, to grow my own teaching. And hopefully in turn, I can do that for all of the children in my classroom. I want them to be their best. And if they can't do something, I want to figure out what I can do to make sure that they can learn to their greatest potential. And so here at Rectory, we do that every day. It's such a fun thing.
Yeah. Oh, I've been a part of some pretty fun moments in the elementary classroom for sure. So it's been really great to come down here and see the stuff that you guys do on an everyday basis. And that's why this deserves a little bit extra time for people to learn about it, because people are really interested in the elementary school program for the right reason, right? Because it's some pretty magic stuff that goes on.
I think that what we're doing here, and also the combination, we didn't talk about the direct instruction with experiential learning and hands-on learning, is such a wonderful combination that works. Like there's such great neuroscience right now in education about how children learn, and when you can apply it in the classroom, and we have the opportunity to have current curriculums, if we see that there's a curriculum that isn't working, we can all work together and find the best one that works for us. It's just, I love problem solving and figuring things like that out. And Rectory's really unique. Like we have a lot of, we're involved with the Connecticut Independent Schools, and we really have the right combination of everything to make it work for the children. And the spaces are fabulous. The spaces are beautiful.
Well, this is it was really great to go a little bit more in depth with the elementary school program, and offer it as an opportunity for some people that are learning about Rectory, just through the website. They can have this, and then hopefully it convinces them to come see the actual stuff that's going on. Because like we said, the kids are the best part. And even some of the most shy kids that might come in, like all the elementary schools are like, come on, come check out Charlotte, or come see that. And I always love seeing that.
That's the best part. When my favorite part is when children are struggling in other school environments and they have turned off and don't think they can learn. And then they come to Rectory and they start opening up and building friendships and feeling their value and knowing that they can do it and getting excited about learning. This morning, we start the day with in every classroom with a morning meeting. And today there were children reading a book before morning meeting instead of just hanging out with their friends. And they were other children were coming over and saying, what are they doing? They're reading. Well, they just want to read. Like, it's okay. When 8:00 happens, we'll all start the day together. But it's wonderful that they can feel value. And those were kids that didn't want to read because they didn't think they can. And now they're excited about opening up a book. So if we can do that for children and make them feel that they have a place where they are important and they're needed and they can add value to others in their community, this is a place where we all work together. And I'm just one of the many people that help to make this happen.
Well, that is really, really cool. And that's another reason why you can come and meet all the other teachers that are in the other classrooms. But if you want to wrap up by sharing is it the affirmation you call it that the kids say?
Oh, that's
I think
right.
This is a good way, I think, to kind of put it all in a nice little package.
That's great. So we decided a few years ago to create an elementary affirmation that the children can say in the morning and make them feel good about things that are a struggle for them. So they say, I am smart, I am kind. And I can do hard things.
I love that. I love that. Well, that's a good way to wrap up. And, we have Rosie, the dog, sitting over there in the bean chair over there. We have Charlotte's over here.
Moving around.
Yeah, so it's always a lot of animals. But our school mascot were the wolves, and we never want to forget our wolf spirit. So I always end all our podcasts by howling like wolves. Okay.
Are you going to do it with me?
Oh, we're going to do it together.
Okay,
all right?
Here we go.
So just like the wolves, I'll start, and then you can chime in, and that'll be kind of how we end it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for today, Ms. Carpenter.
Thanks for coming down, Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Stop by anytime.
Absolutely. I live not literally across the way, and I always see the elementary school kids, so that's always a lot of fun. But, all right, ready?
Okay,
1,
we're ready.
2, 3.
Howl!
Boom.
We did it.
Good job. If you want to find out more about Rectory School, call the admissions office at 860-928-1328, or you can reach us at admissions@rectoryschool.org. Thanks for listening.